discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/BG The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing a no run-through review for Scythe, The Rise of Fenris. We're a little bit behind on actually getting this review out, but we finished the whole campaign. And because this is not our main job, it takes time, because we have to work around everyone's schedules and play other games and then get a chance to be able to do it. But we just got done with the campaign. So, as everyone knows, Scythe is my favorite game of all time. Just took over a Talisman a couple years ago. I had to be objective, like with actually making my top 100, because nostalgically and subjectively, Talisman is probably better, just because I was one of the first games I ever played. But objectively, yeah, there's way better games that have come out with the past couple years. So, spoilers, by the way. I don't think we can really review this without talking about the things that came up.
Big old spoiler
teabag
here.
Yes,
I put something on the Instagram that I was like, oh, and we're playing with the spoilers.
Yeah, so if you don't want to know anything about this campaign, then I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about the things that showed up. So, what's your overall feelings of the expansion? Not the expansion. Well, it is an expansion, standalone expansion with the Rise of Fenris.
What's your faction called?
The Tesla.
Tesla?
Spoiler.
I feel like Tesla and Fenris, anything faction-wise.
Yeah. I'm just joking.
Every single time. Oh, and whenever we got the iron, spoiler.
Yeah. Anything that they added, as far as that goes, it just felt like you guys got to do too much.
That's interesting.
That's just how it felt.
I can see that. So the two new factions that come in are Tesla and the Fenris factions, which I like that there's two more factions to play as. With the Tesla faction, their abilities, they get to start with 3 factory cards, which factory cards are really good whenever you can get them. But, like I was mentioning during our last playthrough, they're one-time use. Even if I get to the factory and I get a new card, it's still one-time use. The thing is whenever, as a player, going there and getting to draw and pick which one you want, because I only get to draw 3 and that's what I get, and some of them can, the ones I had in the last one we just did, weren't really that good. A lot of them were spending cards to get money, and I'm like, these aren't that great. Now, the ones you could get, let's see, what were options you can get? Pay 2 coins to get a mech and a power. Pay a card and a coin to produce onto 2 spaces. Pay 2 coins to build and get popularity. And then pay a power to get 3 coins. So these, I would say these 4 are way better than the ones that I actually started with. And whenever other players get factory cards, it stays there. So that's now a 5th spot that they can put their action pawn on. So that's why I think she's balanced, is I get 3, and even if I get another one, then I still have to discard it. But where she can be busted, and I think she's more busted in this campaign, because she also gets a variety of her upgrades, and I can essentially choose which 2 I want depending on how the scenario is going to go. One of the ones we did that was very military aggressive, I picked 2 upgrades that were based around military. In a regular game, that wouldn't be the case. Mm-hmm. I get what I get, and depending on how the other players played, then it's oh man, no one's going combat, okay, so that's not helping me at all. Or people are moving a lot more, so I'm not able to move as quickly. So, I think she's more balanced. What do you think, Josh?
So,
But I also didn't get to play against her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you-
I got her and I kept her.
That's another thing. Yeah.
So,
I
like-
guess I'm biased. So.
Yeah.
Playing against her, she's not balanced.
Okay.
Yes, you get a one-time use factory card, but you have 3 from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only 8 of them, so your chance of getting at least 2 decent ones are 1 in 4. So
There's not only 8. There's a stack right here.
Oh, okay. Well, there were only 8 over there.
Right, but the way I did it is I'd pull 5 out from there, and then I'd draw
Gotcha.
3 from the what's left
okay.
over.
But I don't know how good the other ones are, but out of just those 8,
Mm-hmm.
you had a fairly decent chance of getting good cards. The fact that you can use them at any time is a little much, but like I said during the campaign that we obviously didn't record, when it came down to it, history is won by the written by winners,
Yeah.
and you had the most victories.
Right.
So, by far, the campaign was pretty one-sided.
Right.
So, that's where this is hard to judge on balancing of her, because you've had her since the 3rd or 4th game?
Yeah, she came in. Let's see.
She came in pretty soon, and I think we both collectively. Josh
She
and I were
came in
great.
She came in episode 4. I
So-
got to play her episode 4.
So, you've played her for the last 4 games.
Yeah.
And so we've got to see her become busted.
Yeah. But I would also argue the first 4 games I never played her, and I still won.
You didn't.
Who
No.
did I play? Oh, I played the black faction.
You were the black faction.
Mhm.
But like the advancements, like being able to customize your board where we really can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this character kind of does with a different ability, but I would say you are very correct. In the campaign by itself, she's incredibly, she's up there.
She's
And,
versatile depending on situation.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would actually agree with that. Because in a regular game of Scythe, like if everyone gets their factions, and let's say I'm playing her, part of any war game, which this is a light war game, I guess. I mean, depending on the players. You could be the Gunter Nachtrentag and go combat heavy the entire time. But part of it is knowing what your opponent can do. So if you see the mechs out, it's like, okay, what can they do? Oh, this is what they got, so how can I best beat that? And just like with using the factory cards, yeah, I can technically use them at any time, but that's, I mean, just like with really everything else, I'm doing those instead of something else.
I think the other thing is that, especially in the last game, you were the first person to the factory, so you got a 4th one, and then the rest of the cards went away, so we couldn't get them at all.
Oh, well, I think I got to an encounter that let me remove them. Yes,
Yeah.
that was just situational, which was, yeah, just a shitty card to draw. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's remove them. Which I regretted doing later, but okay. I mean, I still really like her. I think she's really cool.
She's a really cool faction.
But also, I will say, just like the white faction, where it's like, hey, you do an encounter, you pick 2. That is very good early game. I'd say she's really good early game. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm out of factory cards. Now I don't have an ability. Oh, red ability still gets to go. You still get to go, and you still have all. Everyone still has an ability. She essentially. So then I have to go out of my way to get to the factory. Then if anyone even knows that, then they just, okay, I'll put a mech there. You'll at least have to try and fight me to get a factory card. And even if I did get one, then it's a one-time use. Yay, now it's gone. So I think she's a little bit more. She's more manageable if in a more aggressive game, and neither of you are aggressive players. I wasn't playing aggressively either. I never felt like I needed to. So, like
We didn't play aggressively. I mainly didn't because there's only 3 of us.
right.
If there had been more players, like I could see, like if Devin were playing, for instance.
Oh yeah, he'd be fighting all the time.
Devin would fight everyone.
Yeah. So, well, that's one of the beauties of this game is you can't be overly aggressive because it's like, I mean, you'll run out of cards. I mean, you really don't get a whole lot of benefit for fighting people because you can only get 2 stars out of it.
Unless you play the war
Yeah, the
and
war
can get
faction.
4 stars out of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's Tesla. What do you guys think of the Fenris faction?
Well, I actually got to play
You
it.
did get to play it and immediately switched out.
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Negative 16 points at the start of every game
I guess, yeah, technically.
is brutal.
Yeah. Now, granted, you got -3 by the end of it. At the end of the game. -2. Yeah, so, and you didn't get like the mech out that allowed you to just give them to people.
Yeah, what was it? Death Ray. It was
Yeah.
if I attacked people, and for every retreating unit, they got one.
Yeah, so, which is nasty, because then it's just like, if you attack here and win, that's 4, hey, here you go, that's -4 points for you.
I also don't think it's balanced because of Fanatical, because you could place one where you move to, or where you move from, and then you could place one anywhere else on the board.
Right.
And then you could eventually get it to where you could just move to your tokens and pick them up.
Yep.
So
yeah, you pick them up, which is 1 negative point for you, so I think it's balanced in that, but yeah, you do kind of teleport. Because it did say, hey, movement is especially important to the Fenris faction. I think they're interesting. They kind of remind me of the Japanese faction, the purple faction, because they lay traps around. Their traps are a little bit more, like they don't have as many, but they're like, okay, lose 2 popularity. So you're kind of hesitant on going places. So they're definitely about board control, where it's like, okay, if you really want to go get this encounter, you're going to risk.
Which, we didn't look it up because I didn't ask when I played as Fenris. The leap ability, it says I can jump over a hexagon, so I wasn't sure if it meant I could jump over lakes, because it says in a straight line.
If it's in a straight line, I would assume, yeah. Like
Oh, well, I never abused that.
Yeah, because if you're jumping over a hexagon, if it didn't specify land, it just said tile, then yeah, you can hop over lakes.
So yeah, I think
with your weird, stupidly designed mechs.
chicken
Chicken
like
That's why
track
their legs
runner
were
legs.
so long,
Yeah,
so
so
they
you can
could jump
leap over things, which in theory would be terrifying
You
if
know
you were
what
like
it-
over here and you're like, what the fuck is it?
Do you know what I realized that it finally looks like?
What?
Like when Peter in Family Guy made the joke of
When he was a
do
safari
those-
guy?
No,
Oh.
do those legs go all the way up?
Why, yes. Oh, you do me in the back of the head.
That's exactly what it
Yeah,
was.
I really hate the design of
Yeah,
those
those were
things.
so stupid.
Um,
I watched Josh accidentally knock him over 3 times.
Yeah.
they were.
I would have liked to play as them, but they are a very, very mean faction, because it's like because it's not also that, like, okay, if I move through there or something, I pick it up, you end movement. So it's like, okay, well, perfect example against her. Oh, let's put one here, here, and here. Oh, and hell, let's put them in the lakes too. Well, you can't put them in lakes, but yeah, let's put them there, and there. Fine. You want to get to the factory? Okay, well, I'm gonna keep stopping you. Oh, and I'll put one in the factory. Oh, you can't. Can't put it in the factory.
Said
You can't put it
every
in lakes.
unoccupied
Yeah.
non-factory.
So you bottleneck areas and you put them in tunnels, and
Like-
then it's like,
For instance, if Devin were playing,
mhm.
he would love the Fenris faction.
Oh yeah,
He'd be all over it.
right, right.
Teleporting's never fun. Being able to get in lakes and then teleport from lake to lake, I don't like that.
Yeah, move to from lakes and move from any lake to another. That's the submerge. Billy Cat has that one with that faction.
Yeah, I don't.
You can move through lakes, can't you?
You can
I
move
can-
through them.
I can move.
You can't
Yeah.
move.
That's just as good.
Well, moving through. I mean, teleporting across the board.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in this lake. Now I'm over there.
I mean,
That's
I
what
could
I
even
thought it
argue
was.
hell. The fucking red faction is, hey, move from a village you control to the factory.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's not very fun.
what? Because once you get in the middle, this whole area is open. You can get almost anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the new factions, because the problem that Scythe always had base game was mobility. Like everyone was playing their own little thing here, just taking forever to get the goods, and you almost always went for your Riverwalk ability at the beginning. With everyone's factions, it was like, especially the two, they don't have that problem. They're connected through here. They can walk across lakes.
My workers.
Really, these 3 are kind of the only ones that are hurt by it. So the Fenris is like, okay, well, I can get something like Submerge that lets me get out. the red can get out. So it increased mobility, which also makes this game a lot more fun because now there's interaction. That didn't have the Fenris faction is, okay, well I can teleport to my things, but I pick it up, so I risk potentially not being able to give this up. I can leap, which, I mean, yeah, you would leap to cause a lot of fighting, but there's always a risk to fighting. I don't know. The thing I said when I first reviewed Scythe was almost every action there's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do a combat? Okay, great, but I have 3 workers in there, so you're going to lose 3 popularity. And this, and I would think a lot of it is just because this is my favorite game and I've played it a lot, so I kind of know the strategies to go for. And one that I always try to do is popularity gets you points.
Oh yeah.
Like, so that's why, like, there were a couple games where I intentionally could have ended the game earlier, but I wanted to cross the threshold to be able to get maximum points possible. So, are they balanced? I would probably say we would have to play them in a regular game
as a modular expansion.
Right, not through scenario where it's like, oh, like, get 5 encounters. It's like, okay, great, I will draw 6 and I'll pick the 2 that let me move as quickly as possible.
I got Fenris, I played him for 1 game and I didn't want to fight anybody because there's only 3 players, and I'm like, well, if I just sit here and bully Scythe, it's going to either let Kat get full advantage of me not messing with her, or Seth's just going to get pissed off and eventually get enough power to dominate me back.
Right,
so,
right.
Then, after I had swapped to another new one, because I was going to swap back to my old, I picked a new one, and then the very next name was good for Fenris.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was all about war.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
Right. So, with that being said, what do you guys think of the actual campaign? Like the scenarios, the story?
The story is fantastic.
I think the story is really cool.
The story was really
very
good,
interesting. Not it's not over the top. Like nothing's like busted. It's just an interesting take on the alternate Europa.
It fits very well with the theme.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It gave backstory to why this is what it is. Because it is alternate Europa and there was nothing really story-wise. It was like, okay, it's kind of like a steampunk, mechy kind of world. But that's really it. And then you get the, like, okay, well, shit, Fan Tesla closed the factory down because people started using his creations for war. And now things are going back into that circle with the rise of Fenris coming in.
Spoiler.
The scenario, I would have liked more, like, branching pathways. There were technically 2 scenarios that, like, we got to pick war or peace. We went peace. And then the other one was if no one found Tesla, then he would actually be like a mad scientist. And that would have been the very last one. It'd be Mad Scientist 8B, and he would have done something different. I don't know what. I didn't read it.
Us all.
Say,
yeah, he would have had a separate tile to it, and kind of a different story.
So it'd be an AI.
Yeah, the summary is Tesla has emerged from the factory, overcome with madness at the horrific outcomes caused by his creations. So yeah, I mean, he just would have been controlled by a player.
So far, my biggest complaint is him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think he's that busted. I mean, he is, but I never used him. Never felt it really a need to.
Just not because you didn't use him, it's what he is.
A mech and a character.
He's a mech and a character, so
yeah, can get mech abilities and
so you get 2 characters.
Yeah.
So 2 characters. So you could literally on your move action move here and then move your character here and get both of those.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if we had the rule out where you could pick 2, so you get 4 altogether, like pick 2 off a card, because we had the situational thing.
Oh, you're right. Well, yeah, you had to be in the space with the airship, but essentially 3 options.
You get 3 options, so you get to pick a whole card.
That's true.
You get all 3 benefits.
That's true. Imagine if you had them with the white faction, then you would get your 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
He's gross, really, with whoever has him.
Yeah.
And obviously at the end, all the modules can be thrown in to a game. Like, so, like,
Now I would say I don't know how it would work. With the if.
okay. Here's how it could be used. Like, use the Mad Tesla module if you're looking for an NPC to fight instead of other players. Tesla begins on the factory. You can choose to end the game if Tesla is defeated, as the rules state, or you can just play until someone places their 6th star. So if you add him to the game, he's someone you fight instead of someone controlling him.
That's pretty
But
neat.
in ours, it was hey, I found him in the previous one, so he starts on my thing, so whatever it's called, a new era.
But for our particular situation, I did not like him.
Yeah.
Just because, and you didn't abuse him in any way, but it's the fact that he can be abused.
I get it. That totally makes sense. I've ragged on games because it's like, well, you don't have to. It's like the fact that you can is a problem. Kat, what do you think? Scenarios? Any scenarios that kind of stood out that were fun or?
Yeah, I like the one where I wish that we did get to do like more crossroads, like big
Mhm.
decisions, because I did like choosing. I always like stuff like that.
Right, and like it kind of gives variety to the campaign.
Yeah,
Just...
I cared very little for the factory, which is, I mean, essentially almost all of it, but like I was never at it.
That's actually funny. Yeah, almost a lot of them around the factory.
I just didn't care.
I didn't really care for a lot of them can be ended prematurely. So
yeah.
It's like the thing was always getting 6 stars and everyone has a chance to do so, but it's like, okay, well, like the one, for example, it's like get 5 encounters. Okay, boom, I'm just going to speed rush that. But you also can run the risk of kind of what you did whenever you beat the factory and you ended the game. I had more coins.
You ended up winning.
And it's like, damn, that sucks. So there's other games that do stuff like that. The players kind of control the pace of the game.
So I beat him, and then I got his faction, and I'm like, this faction sucks. And then the next game was like, man, he would have been really good for this.
Yeah. Here's my biggest complaint, and it actually borderline kind of ruins it for me, but and it did the same thing for Charterstone, and it did the same thing for Near and Far. Well, Near and Far is a little bit different, but Charterstone's a good example. Funny enough, same company.
Yeah.
If you do well, and you will continue to do well.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's like, I won the first 2 episodes, and I usually have the most money. Great, now I have the most wealth to be able to purchase the mods. I had all 6 mods. I got to do every single thing for free, at least at one point. You guys, there were multiple times where it's like, oh, do you guys want to buy a mod? Oh, I have 40 coins, and I had like 70 or something. It's like, okay, great, I'll buy another one. So it quickly becomes one-sided. And like, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but probably around episode 5, like 5 or 6, I was like, I'm winning this whole campaign.
Oh, I almost didn't even want to play.
And I wanted to play because I just wanted to play the story.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care about really like, oh, I'm gonna win.
By the way, he landslide beat us 8-0.
It was
yeah.
Oh,
It was
eight games and we lost all the others.
Yeah.
That is true.
And the one I was closest to winning, I ended the game early, and you still ended up beating me by like 2 or 3 coins.
It was like very close. And that's not fun. There was no like challenge. Like I always got 6 stars out, almost always. So then I had a triumph log of I got 175 coins at the end of that. What was the final, like from first to last? What was your final score?
Fucking 81.
81.
And it's because I shouldn't have bought my mod.
See, I noticed that 81. I have a little over double of Cat, and you have a little over,
I have 380.
a little less than double my score.
Yeah. So like a way that I try to measure balance of a game is kind of see first to last. Which isn't always the case because there are some games that people just don't get, and so
it's a 300
it's a 302 point spread.
Yeah, and that's a lot, people.
That is a lot. And I mean, it's just not fun. And my other complaint, this is what Near and Far was going to be, is it doesn't actually matter how well you do, and all people will probably be like, well, this is what I'm about to say. you could win all of them and still lose the game.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't matter how many you win, it's all about your final score based off the very last thing. So if I won all 7, let's say I won all 8, and you got more coins than me this time, you would have won the whole campaign.
Yeah, because I think you had 40 wealth left, and so did I.
Yeah.
You had 40, I had 40. If you had spent just a little more, and I had got one additional X, or
Yeah.
2 additional X's, I would have...
Well, it would have been based off the final coin tally, so I got 80 something there, and then you doubled that, and then you added your final triumph log. I don't like that. Like, it's like...
You
It
put
doesn't
all the
make
work
sense.
in and still lose.
And still lose. It's like, I won 8 fucking games, or let's say I won 5 games, and you won 3. And it's like, I won more, so why the hell did I just lose this one? Like, I don't know. I've never liked that in games, personally. And I understand that technically, like, the victories are only meant to aid you in the upcoming scenarios. So it's like, oh, but you don't need to check your victories. That didn't matter. You just need to calculate your money the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest complaint.
So, honestly, if Kat and I had probably never spent our wealth at all, we had a better chance
Of at least catching up.
of catching up.
But even then, no, because then you... Oh, I guess, yeah, technically, because you would have never had mods. But in all reality, then... No, because I would have landslide, because I would have had all the mods still.
Because if I had never spent... For perspective, so I have 3 of these.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 150.
Yep.
And then I have spent 45
Right.
here. So there's 195 points that could have been added to my wealth.
Right.
Which would have put me at
Well, actually,
350.
accumulated wealth from previous episodes is not a factor in determining the final win of the campaign. So actually, no, the 40 coins we had at the end.
So you
didn't
were at
matter.
340. I was at 320 or 120.
Yeah.
And then Kat was at...
Yeah, so all the money that was
Comes out
left
at
over
80.
from the last one didn't count. It was all based around the very final episode.
So what? There was no point to wealth.
The only point was for wealth was to buy upgrades. And upgrades made things a lot cheaper, so it's like, boom, here's a mech out already, here's a building, boom. It just made the game a lot faster and kind of helped it take off. So, yeah, I mean, if you had never spent that money, then great, you would have had an extra 150, but it wouldn't have helped. And then you don't have mods.
Say,
and have mods.
I mistook it. You added it all together.
I did too, but it didn't really matter. So yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like that you put in all the effort and play seriously the all 8 games and then
Why keep track of the victories?
there's really no point.
Yeah.
I really don't actually see why there's a reason for that.
Now you say that, like the Fenris faction, I probably could have won the last 2 games.
Why?
Because I could have, quote unquote, sabotaged people, laid all the tokens out. You get negative points, so it subtracts from your score.
Oh, only in the very last
Yes,
game.
yeah.
And then we actually found that one of her random abilities could be, you ignore people, it's stealth, and so I ignore tokens. So I actually know the tokens wouldn't have affected. And it's just like, I don't know, yeah, you're right, there was no point, except I guess to be an ass. Hey, I 8-0'd you, like, suck it. I completely forgot. The Triumph log I thought was fine. Like, hey, it made you strive for different things. Like the very last one I realized, I've never gone for power.
Say, the log was fine, the bonuses, the perks, that's fine. The victories made no sense then, if the 8th episode was the only episode that mattered.
Yeah, because I was like, we have to be tracking this for something.
Right.
Because why else would it be a track?
Yeah, I guess just to see
Just
who won.
to see, yeah.
And then...
I mean, I guess to market, because there were some things at the end was the winner gets an extra mod choice or something, but there was really not a whole lot there. Speaking of which, the mods, what do you guys think of the mods?
Oh, they were pretty cool. They helped a lot at the end.
I really liked them.
Yeah.
I never bought a mech mod, but...
Yeah.
I bought one, just because her innate river walk is move across rivers to from an adjacent territory containing a structure.
Yeah,
it's not my structure.
A structure.
A structure. That's
So it
a
could have
little
been-
bit better.
Say, it could have moved to anywhere...
It has to be adjacent territory. So
I
essentially,
still
I would
don't
have had
think
to have like there would have to be like a structure built over here to be able to hop over there.
Can't say that's still very.
It's not the best. So that's why the only mech mod I bought was the underpass, which was moved between any mountains you control in any tunnel. To upgrade that.
Which
Yeah.
that's not that bad.
All of
that's
mine-
actually very
That was actually perfect because I had a mountain there.
All of mine like zeroed out a cost.
I really like the mods.
That
yeah.
definitely helps.
The mods were they were good.
They were pretty cool. None of them felt broken. Like everyone could get the same one, so it wasn't like only I could get like the free ones.
Right.
Everyone had the opportunities to get something special. And like I said, they increased the speed of Scythe, which some people's complaints is that it's very slow, and it is at the beginning. Then it takes off, and by that time, like then stars are coming out like left and right.
So I don't know what if it has a time per player. It doesn't.
Probably because it's scenario based, so it's just dependent on the scenario. But yeah, like I eventually by the end of it, I had all the ones that let you, hey, one-time use, now a mech is free. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's like these were very handy.
Yeah.
I
I would highly recommend the mods. Let's do something real quick.
I personally felt like the airships weren't necessary.
No.
That's not this expansion. The airships are the Wind's Gambit expansion.
Okay.
That was before this. I love the airships, but like all the expansions to Scythe, I think are great. Like one of them was Invaders from Afar, added the Connor faction, and then the Akimo or something like that faction. Then the second one was Wind's Gambit, added the ships, which increased mobility. Like, hey, carry workers or resources, and there's a passive, like, neutral ability, then there's the aggressive one for battle. I thought those were great, adds a lot of variety. It depends on if people want to use them.
Right.
Well, I think for this particular scenario, like the airships weren't helpful because you had a very mobile faction already, so it felt like you were already faster.
Right. Let's see. So the mods that we have, so we had the, what do you guys, we didn't even do that one. What do you guys think of the War and Triumph track?
It's neat.
The, for Cat, there's the one that changed that. Like the War side where it was literally 4 combats, and then the Peace side, I can't remember what that added. More objectives, maybe? Is it right here?
Peace added it to where mechs and battle, I think, were worth the same.
It was mechs and recruits were worth 1. There was get a factory card, 16 resources. I don't remember what that one was.
That's the little fire things.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
The
events. 3 events and 2 objectives. So I actually like this. If you, depending on who you're playing with, everyone can be, hey, let's go, combat heavy, or not. Combat's not really
negotiation.
There's actually no combat.
Negotiation.
Yeah, the peace side. I think this is a pretty
Negotiation.
I like this as a module.
I do too.
I like this.
Yeah, so that was the other one. I don't remember where that's at. The Triumph tiles. Yep. When you want some variability in how to achieve stars.
So that's if you want a pre-generated combat or
no combat.
Yeah, and then this is like ultimate customization.
Yeah, because there's a track. Like there's what 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 16 total. So you'll shuffle these up and then add 10
to the board, and it just covers it up.
Yep, and then that changes how you're going to go for stars. Which one of my complaints when I recorded Scythe years ago was, like, it'll ultimately kind of always play the same. But these modules make it radically different because it's like
almost limitless.
Yeah, so I really like that one too. Let's see, the Alliance system. That was where you could share abilities.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the very first ones that we had.
So
and it added negotiation because it's like, I can trade this to you, and you also will get some coins and my ability on top of your ability.
So I liked it.
You didn't do it.
I didn't do it though, and it was because there's only 3 of us.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
You guys did it together, so I was left out. And if I had done it with somebody's getting 3 abilities.
I think you can only trade with 1 person, if I remember right. That was one of the very first and never showed up again. I want to say, like, one person could only have... So I couldn't trade with you and her.
No. I mean, like, so... Oh, because you just gave each other...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you didn't do it in that game because your ability was...
at the
you
time.
were the red, so you're like, I don't want anyone to get my ability.
I didn't want anybody else to be able to use the same thing
Exactly,
over and over
which is
Fair.
Yeah, which is totally fair. But it's like, well, you can have my ability, which lets you attack multiple times. It's like, that's not that good, but you'll also get 5 coins. Something like that. So it added negotiation, which isn't really in this game at all. You guys kind of did towards the end. Hey, let me win a combat so I get a star.
Cat, just let me get a star out.
And you guys just go back and forth. Yeah, that was easily a thing you could do. I really like that. I think that's a really cool thing because it just adds negotiation to a war game, which is very, very much needed.
Honestly, if Kat had taken me up on the offer, she could have fought you one and then moved another one, and I would have just retreated. She would have got another star out.
Let's see. The only one in here that we didn't do was the Desolation, which was a cooperative module. Didn't do that. And then there was Rivals, which was in the war thing that we did, which was
Is it young rivals like in Kingdom Death Monster?
Where one person dies and there's nothing you can do. Rivals is designed to be used with the War Triumph track, but it can be used without it. In those games, only place up to... So you place stars onto an opponent's base. Here, let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. So that's peace. So Rivals. A player is your rival as long as you have one of your stars on their base. If you win a combat against you, remove one of your stars, place on the Triumph track, then gain 5 coins.
That's not bad.
It's pretty neat if you want to go, combat, where it's like, okay, hey, I'm gonna target, like, you're my rival and you're my rival. Or no, you're my rival, someone could go fighting you. Because 5 coins, that's 5 points. At the end, if I beat you twice, that's 10 points. And then
that was another thing I actually really liked. So, like, the victory points was your money. But you had to spend your currency to get things.
Oh, well, yeah.
So it felt balanced in that sense.
Yeah. I always like that in Scythe, because that's just Scythe. The money was your victory points, but you're right. Throughout the game, you have to spend it to be able to. It's like, oh man, do I really want to start buying that? Let's see. And I don't know if you can... Whenever you win a combat, you may remove one of your stars from any opponent's base and place it on the Triumph track, but you can only gain the 5 bonus star if it comes from the base of a defeated opponent. So yeah, it's just... I mean, they did a really good job with giving you the variety of kind of how you want to play based off the modules. And what's really cool is this is not a legacy game, so it's not like, oh, well, guess we can't ever do these again. Like, hey, we're going to play a regular game of Scythe. Let's add the Alliance thing. Let's add the Triumph tiles, and then let's add the Vesna faction or whatever.
Modules are always the best.
Exactly, I completely agree, which is what makes me really like this expansion. Even though, like...
The campaign wasn't great.
The campaign was, yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Story was fantastic.
Yeah, the story was really cool, but kind of what you did each scenario wasn't, like, always exciting. And then, yeah, the Mad Tesla, which you hated the most, is just something in a regular game that you fight against.
Which, that would be fun.
So, I mean, we've done a discussion on Scythe, and I've talked about it at length through different, top 10s and stuff like that, so we're not going to go too into what our thoughts are on Scythe, but, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, for our... I mean, you guys have anything else to say on the Rise of Fenris expansion, scenario? Oh, sorry, I do have one more thing. I really didn't like the ending. It gave this, like, 3-page fucking opening to a story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, literally, like it's almost a novel. Like a short story. I thought it was great. The ending was just, alright, you win. You're the dominant power.
Yeah.
It's like, And then, depending on if you're A, B, or C.
And then you pick what type of style.
Yeah, and
that doesn't make any sense.
It was kind of half-assed at the end. Like, I would have loved just, okay, no matter who won, here's the
actual ending.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like,
that was kind of a letdown.
For instance, like, if Tesla's faction won, like, her technology was beneficial to all of Europa, like something like that.
Yeah, because in the rules, like, they have, like, backstory on each character, and I thought they had one.
They have a backstory for this in the one that added this faction and the Japanese faction.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I think it was in the rules that everyone kind of had their own backstory, which is cool. But they easily could have done like a short paragraph or maybe a little bit longer of
Each one.
and
how they would have ruled.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously some are geared more towards
military.
negotiation.
Yeah, like, if it was the black faction and they won, they ruled with, like, an iron fist, and it's like, hey, like don't rebel against me. Or they could do it kind of a little bit both, and then the Fenris faction is just like, we will destroy anyone who opposes us, or the technology. Yeah, they easily could have done that, instead of just, alright, yep, you win. Cool. So, that kind of bummed me out a little bit. So, with that being said, after all was said and done, what would you guys rate the Rise of Fenris on a scale of 1 to 10?
This, it's always hard because there's so many modules.
Right. Is there any module that you, like, despise?
No.
Right. Like, were there some that I'd play without? Most likely, but it all depends on... That's the great thing about module expansions.
It depends on which ones are in.
Yep, or and the group. It's like, if we had Devin here, I'd probably add some more combat than...
I'm going to give this... I think I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9? Okay. Awesome. That's actually a lot higher than I thought you were going to give it.
And this will surprise you even more then. The game where we played, like, essentially it was just a game of Scythe, this is a 10.
Yeah. Woo!
This game is fantastic.
It's so good. Like, I have no negative, and especially now with all the modules, and then now the smaller expansion with the modular board, yeah, I mean, it's been a 10 for me as well.
What it adds was great, but it's just the fact we had so much. Mm-hmm. It kind of watered down the experience.
Right.
But if I put it through my head, if we have it just like certain things, everything in this would have worked.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is a 9 just because of what we experienced.
Right.
This by itself is fantastic. 10.
Awesome. That makes me happy. I'm gonna agree with you completely. I'm gonna give it a 9. I was thinking 8, but then like I started thinking of just, okay, if we play the base game, yeah, we could add any of them like that just to fit the group and the play style, and it just makes this game even more fantastic, because this was a 10 for me anyway, even though it did kind of have we kind of started out the same way, but now just, it's like, oh, okay, well now that's completely different. This faction, I had a lot of fun with this faction, made it less stale. I like all the factions, honestly, and they all do play completely different. So yeah, I'm going to give the Rise of Fenris a 9, even though, like, I would never go through the campaign again.
No.
But just all the modules that it added make it a 9. If I was ranking it on its campaign, like the 8 game campaign, it'd probably be like a 7.
Yeah,
7.
That's where I would sit at if I had to judge it purely off of the campaign score.
But yeah, like the expansion itself is a 9. Cat?
I'd say off of the expansion, I'd give it an 8, just because there are some, like, incomplete feelings, like you mentioned, the ending felt just kind of like, oh, fuck it.
It felt
is that an 8, like, talk about the campaign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, yeah, like, just the Tesla faction, just, like, since I never got to play, I was always just like, man, fuck her.
I was
like, because I remember I was fighting you, and you were like, oh, and I have and I was like, of course you do!
But that wasn't from her, that was actually from my upgrade that I had.
That you could afford and nobody else could.
Right.
No.
It's not all about you!
Yeah.
But, no, I'll set it at an 8, just because there were some imperfections.
What about it as an expansion with all the modules?
As an actual expansion, I guess it's still at an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, the only regret I have is that, yeah, I mean, if you did well, you just kept doing well. I would have liked to play against her. In all reality, I should have just picked someone else and let one of you guys grab her just to see. But I liked her so much, and I'm all about winning. Because then I'd have a fresh perspective being against her and be like, oh, wow, yeah, starting with 3 factory cards, that's pretty fucking
I mean,
shitty.
You just have to take yourself out of your shoes.
Right.
And just sit on the other side of the table.
Because I can just assume that this is how I would play against her. Yeah, you only get 3 factory cards, fine, I'll bottleneck the factory and make sure...
Well, you did. You did. I remember there was a game that nobody could fucking get into the factory.
That was to
get her. I was so mad.
Yeah, I think that was actually to get her, which was like episode 3. Because I did bottleneck it, because I had the faction that was all about combat. It's like, great, no, keep fighting me. I'll just keep putting stars.
And that essentially, like, that was your power move. Like, that let you...
That was a defining moment of like the campaign was, alright, you control the factory, you win.
Yeah.
To say 1/5, or no, 3/8 through the campaign, we were like, Seth's got this.
So yeah, I mean, I still had a lot of fun just because this is my favorite game.
This definitely, like, where I did my top 10, this goes up several spaces.
I was wondering, I don't remember where, I think it was like 8, like 10 or 9 is where it was at, and I was like, oh.
I think it was at 8.
Okay.
It's 8 or 7. This definitely, like, top 3.
Nice.
Top 3.
Nice. Yeah, it's just...
I don't think it probably will never dethrone Magic, but...
And that makes sense.
It's definitely
I don't
top
really
3.
expect any board game to dethrone Magic for you.
I don't know. Well, we're... Spoilers, we're going to try and do Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, that might be your number 1.
We're looking at those sweet packs.
We were.
I don't want to talk about it.
But anyway, that's our thoughts on Scythe, the Rise of Fenris expansion. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.